Hello, everybody. This is amazing. What a great crowd. This feels like a rally for life. Great energy in the room. Wasn't Father Hayden amazing? What an inspiring man. Praise God for him and for all the priests who, during the referendum, since the referendum, and for all time, speak out so courageously to share God's words. Let's hear an amen and a cheer for them. And the lovely music. Well done. Great. So I'm so delighted to be here, but delighted to be here with our people, all of us together at the Divine Mercy Conference, where we are being called, in particular, to listen to the words of St. Matthew, at a time, I think, when those words are particularly pertinent and particularly important. Let us not be put to the test. And what do those words mean for us as pro-life people at this time? What do they mean for us, for those of us who cherish life, who believe life must be protected, for people of faith, for people of life, for all of us who were utterly devastated on May the 25th of last year? Because there's no other way to say or to describe what we felt. On May 25th, our hearts, along with the Eighth Amendment, were utterly broken. Not for ourselves, not for our personal pride, but for the babies and the mothers who will suffer the terrible consequence of what the people have done. And I think we must take time to acknowledge and to recognize that on May 25th, we lost something that was precious and important and beautiful, and that we are all brokenhearted. I spoke to so many people today in the side hall who said those words to me. I'm brokenhearted. I still feel brokenhearted because the fall of Ireland's pro-life protection, it was like a wound to our soul. And the complicity of the people was like a dark stain on the nation. And it felt, I remember going to Mass the following Sunday, and a priest in Castleknock said that it felt like a death. It felt like the death of something decent, the death of kindness and compassion in our society. And I know the actor John Connor, who was a great voice for life in the referendum, said that he felt it was the darkest day in Ireland's history, and that a terrible cruelty had been inflicted on the most innocent of all of our people, helpless preborn babies. But I'm here today to tell you that while we need to acknowledge that loss and acknowledge that our hearts are broken, you should hold your head up high. Because everybody in this room, your hands are clean and your conscience is clear, and you fought the good fight to protect mothers and babies. You spoke the truth and you asked others to listen, and you asked for mercy and you asked for compassion, because nothing is made better by the killing of a child. And for 35 years, you defended the right to life of every human being. And together we will continue to do so, because we are called to defend the most innocent and the most vulnerable, even if we stand alone. But we do not stand alone. Look at the people in this room today. Look at the energy. And this movement, the pro-life movement, has been energized by the huge influx of new members in the past several years, especially of young people who gave this fight their all and who will continue to do so. And know this too, and be proud of this, that in keeping abortion out of Ireland for all of those years, you have saved hundreds of thousands of lives, and that is no small achievement. And you should feel very proud that because of you, Ireland stood strong against the abortion industry many years after most other countries had fallen. You stood up against the greatest injustice in the world, and time will show that you are on the right side of history, and that should make you proud. And I am proud to stand with you and to stand with 723,632 people who had the wisdom and the courage, despite all of the odds, despite all of the propaganda, to vote for life and against abortion. Because we did not lose on May 25th. The truth is, it wasn't us that lost, it was the unborn baby. But we live to fight another day, because we are all those babies have. And in God's good time, everyone who stood to protect life will be vindicated. And I want to thank you, sincerely thank you from the bottom of my heart for your tireless, selfless, heroic efforts. You were the unsung heroes, not just of the No campaign, but of the past 30 years or more. And I have never witnessed such heroic dedication from so many thousands of people. Many of you here today volunteered 2 years of your lives to knock on doors and to talk to people. You organized massive teams. You gave everything you could to help us fight against the campaign for abortion in Ireland. You are lifesavers. You are champions. You are heroes, and it is my greatest honour to know you and to stand with you in this most noble fight of all as we work to protect both mother and child. In his poem, The Mother, Pádraig Pearse wrote that despite the weariness of much sacrifice, I have my joy, my sons were faithful and they fought. You were faithful and you fought. And together we will fight on to restore the beauty that Ireland has lost and protect our mothers and our babies once more. We will show the world that we are a people. Okay. We will show the world that we are a people who will overcome even in the darkest hour. Okay. Because we know it is always better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. And sure. Some of you, we know that it is always better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. Some of you may have read J.R.R. Tolkien's classic tale, The Lord of the Rings. And Tolkien was a devout Catholic, a contemporary of C.S. Lewis in Oxford. And his most famous works are these epic tales of the battle between good and evil. And in the film version of The Lord of the Rings is a famous scene where Theoden, king of the Rohan, is under sustained attack from an army of overwhelming strength, who wish not to destroy the king and his people, but to establish dominion over a whole way of life. I think that sounds familiar to some of us, does it? And as the onslaught breaks through the king's defences, he expressed what many people would have felt during this campaign, when we observed the absolute disregard from abortion campaigners for the baby whose life is so cruelly torn apart. So much death, said King Theoden, so much death. What can we do against such reckless hate? And I think we felt that on May 25th. We felt defeated. We felt, what can we do against such reckless hate? But we need to know that we are a people of life and a people of light. We need to know that we are a people of hope and a people of truth. And that by coming together and standing strong and trusting in God, we will overcome what has happened to this country and make it a pro-life nation once again. Because you see, there were many voters, many voters, some of whom have spoken out since, who were swayed by the relentless and persistent media lies, which convinced the middle ground of the entirely false claim that the Eighth Amendment was killing women. And there were many others who were driven by that reckless hate that says that if a child gets in the way, then a child simply must die. And never before in the history of the world has compassion been so effectively, has cruelty been so effectively dressed up as compassion. And I think that's where the words of St. Matthew really speak to us. Let us not be put to the test. I think we felt that we were put to the test, didn't we? We felt that our hearts had been broken, and we felt that our faith in the goodness of people had been tested in a way we hoped we'd never experience. But you know, you've listened here to the most amazing people talking about what St. Matthew actually meant. And we know that's not what the gospel means. What St. Matthew is telling us is that we must not lose faith. We must never give in to despair. We must realize that God is with us, and if God is with us, who can stand against us? Many of those who voted yes did so because of a never-ending barrage of media propaganda, and we need to bring them back to the truth of the pro-life message. We need to meet that reckless hate with courage and with love and with truth, and to remember the words, be not afraid because I am with you always. Be not afraid in this movement for life and for truth and for compassion, because he is with you always. At the moment In Tolkien's tale, at the moment of King Theoden's utmost despair, with the barbarians breaking through the gate, Aragorn, who is the Christ-like figure in Tolkien's tale, says to the king, "Ride out with me to meet them. Ride out for Rohan and her people." And so began the first of many battles, some lost and some won, to re-establish what had been lost at that time. And I am asking you to take that stand with us today, to take that stand with the pro-life movement, to renew and regain our hope and our trust in God and in the belief that everybody has a right to life, so that the light for life in this country will remain burning bright, and we will keep the path lit for mother and for baby, for our people and for all the world. Because we may have lost the Eighth Amendment, but we are not a defeated people, and we never will be. We know that the time for mourning is over, and now we need to focus our attention on the reality of why we lost and what we need to do to rebuild a culture where life is once more cherished and once more protected. And I think of the tremendous courage of TDs like Peadar Tóibín and Carol Nolan and Mattie McGrath and Michael Collins and Ronan Mullen and Mary Butler. And you'll forgive me if I take just one moment to read their names, to read the names of the 15 pro-life TDs who voted against the cruelty of what was in that abortion bill, because they deserve our support and they deserve to know that their work and their courage is appreciated. Mary Butler, Sean Canny, Michael Collins, Michael Fitzmaurice, Peter Fitzpatrick, Noel Grealish, Danny Healy-Rae, Michael Healy-Rae, Michael Lowry, Mark McSharry, Mattie McGrath, John McGuinness, Carol Nolan, Eamon O'Queeve and Peadar Tóibín. You know, I watched the Dáil proceedings when the abortion bill was being passed, and those TDs were like a light in the darkness. Their inspirational courage should compel us to stand with them. They spoke up, because no referendum, no vote in Parliament, no piece of legislation can ever make it right to kill a helpless child, and we must remember their courage and continue to stand with them. So we must, as we start this processing of renewing and rebuilding and reclaiming a culture of life, we must support our pro-life politicians. And I'm going to give a direct nod here to Ronan Mullen by saying that if you haven't signed up, if you have a vote in the Seanad and you haven't signed up to get your vote yet, go into the Family and Media Association stall or the pro-life campaign stall, get your forms, and let's make sure Ronan Mullen continues to be a voice for life in the Seanad. And there are many, many important things that the pro-life movement now needs to turn to. Many things we need to do to reduce the harm of this cruel abortion bill. We must support the incredible work of groups like Gianna Care, who every day are helping women choose a better alternative than abortion. We must listen to the beautiful, courageous and inspirational stories of the families in Every Life Counts. These families who were told that their babies' lives would be incredibly short. Some of them only had minutes or days or hours with their babies, but they learned, with God's grace, to pour a lifetime of love into those moments. And they are reaching out to families all over Ireland to say to them, let us give you the gift of time. It is always a better alternative than abortion. Let us be there to support you and to love you. And we must support them too in that incredibly important work that they are doing. We must continue to make our voices heard. The Rally for Life this year will be in Dublin on July 6th. I hope you're all there. And I hope you're there pro-life and proud. We need to recognise that change will only come if we make that change happen. Because here's the truth that nobody on the other side acknowledges. It wasn't Simon Harris, or Together for Yes, or Leo Varadkar who won the vote to repeal the 8. It was the media. Years and years of relentless fake news telling the Irish people that our pro-life laws were oppressing women, or even killing women. Fake news had the desired effect. There was no room for the truth to be heard. That absolutely has to change, and we must be the change makers. Today, I am saying to you that people of faith, pro-life commentators, people who are concerned at government intrusion into what children learn at school, people who are worried that our freedom, even our freedom of religion, is being eroded, people who are sick of being silenced by an increasingly intolerant left-wing media, the many, many diverse groups of people within the 732,000 people who voted no on May 25th, they need to come together now to build a new media platform. And we need to harness the extraordinary energy and commitment and talent that was evident in the referendum and build a new media platform where people can get the truth, where they can get news that means something that they can actually trust. Because since the referendum, we've had a complete censorship of pro-life views on RTE. We've had a UCD professor saying that politicians shouldn't be allowed to wear a cross on television. And we've had a committee advising the government that religion should have no part in what our children are being taught in schools. So we can either let the media continue to attack our values, or we can set up a new media that allows our voices to be heard, because there's a real hunger amongst Irish people for a new platform that isn't part of the groupthink in the current Irish media landscape. So right now, I'm really excited and delighted to be telling you we are building that new media platform. It's called Gripped. Thank you. It's called Gripped, and one of its first news reports by Tim Jackson had more than 1 million views online, more than RTE and The Late Late Show combined. So we need more of that. We're building a news studio and a podcasting platform on the top floor of 6 Gardner Place, and we're lining up the talented writers and presenters and talkers and artists and interesting people to make this work, to build this alternative, and we'd love to have you on board. We'd love to have your energy, your insights, your enthusiasm, your knowledge and your skills. Please join us in being part of it. You're more than welcome. And it's very exciting. And I want to reach out to you genuinely today to ask you to be part of it and to share your skills so that we can carve out this new platform and start rebuilding a culture and a country which cherishes life and faith and family and freedom, because that's what we need right now. I'm going to leave you with these words. In the end, evil always destroys itself. And Tim Jackson wrote in the aftermath of the referendum, this vote will not be the last word. Whilst the deconstruction of the island of saints and scholars they think is nearing completion, the architects of that deconstruction in their haste have forgotten to ask this question: who will inherit our land? Is it those who kill their young, or those who welcome each and every baby as a gift? So let us not be put to the test. Let us instead rise to the challenge, because we are proud to be people of faith and life, and we will fight on, because every mother and every baby is worth fighting for, and we can make Ireland a great pro-life light to the world once again. Go míle maith. Thank you, God.